Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
The subject matter for this evening's lecture is the Transcendental Teachings of Prahlada Maharaj. The Namakkal is a very suitable place to speak on this topic. Being a place of worship of Sri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan. Nrsimhadev is famous for having saved Prahlada Maharaj, who was being tortured by his wicked father Hiranyakashipu. So the story is well known of how Nrsimhadev appeared from a pillar and ripped Hiranyakashipu to pieces. It's not as well known as it used to be. The traditional culture of imparting knowledge of Bhagavan and his avatars is broken down. So that children today are more likely to know about some cartoon characters or cricket stars than Nrsimhadev. Still, I hope that everyone in Namakkal knows how Nrsimhadev appeared from the pillar to protect Prahlada Maharaj. So even though the story of Nrsimhadev is quite well known, the transcendental teachings of Prahlada Maharaj are not very well known. People nowadays, if they happen to know the narrations of the various avatars, it's very rare that they know any philosophy. And if they know any philosophy, it's all a big mess, all mixed up. Prahlada Maharaj spoke this philosophical knowledge to his classmates. They were all about 5 years old. Now you might think 5 years is a bit early to start speaking about philosophy. People often say, well, you should wait until you're older to become more religious. Have you heard this? People say, you enjoy your life, and then when you get old, and then you become more religious. No use to be very religious during your life. Just at the end, you can remember God, when you have nothing else to do. But Prahlada Maharaj said, Kaumara acharet pragyos dharman bhagavataneha durlabham manusha janma tadapya dhruvam artadam. He said that knowledge of Bhagavan should be imparted from the very youngest age, from the age of 5 years or even before. Those who are actually intelligent should take up the practice of Bhagavad Dharma or Krishna Bhakti in this world. What does intelligent mean in this context? When we were driving here from Salem, we came past the Jnanamani Technical College on the road. So this word Jnan, this comes up in the again and again in Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishads, in Srimad Bhagavatam. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshataha yajgyatva neha bhuyo najgyatavyam avashishyate. So, when he was referring to jnana and vijnana, Lord Krishna was not referring to what you learn in a technical college. This human life is valuable because we can, in the human life only, we can cultivate knowledge of reality. What is the purpose of life? If we ask most people, what is the purpose of life? They will say, we should be happy. And in fact, everything we do is so we can be happy. Everything every living being does is so they can be happy. There's a fly buzzing around my head, and he's trying to land on my head thinking that if he lands on my head, he will be happy. And I am chasing it away because it's causing some discomfort. So what the fly is doing and what I am doing is for our comfort. But Prahlada Maharaj says something which is quite extraordinary. Sukham aindriyakam daitya deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate sukham yatha dukham ayatnataha. He told his friends, don't bother trying to be happy. Whatever bodily happiness you have, that will come automatically by destiny. Just like we don't try to become distressed. No one tries to have a headache. No one thinks, well, I didn't have a headache for a few months. It's about time I had a headache. Let me hit myself on the head with a hammer. No one thinks like that. But anyway, headaches or various diseases come automatically without our trying for it. So in the same way, Prahlada Maharaj says, happiness comes without our even trying for it. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaj recommends, don't waste your time trying to get more happiness or trying to counteract unhappiness. But realizing that human life is very rare and very valuable because it gives us the opportunity to inquire into the absolute truth, but also temporary. It will not last very long. Therefore, our attention should be on Bhagavad Dharma, on that endeavor which will give us the greatest reward. Just like the parents want their children to go to college. They think best if they can go to medical college, and maybe second best engineering college, and then a long way down on the scale, agricultural college. And why is the medical college considered better than the agricultural college? In both the medical college and the agricultural college, you have to study and learn something. But the medical college is considered better than the agricultural college because by studying in the medical college, one can attain a more prestigious position in society and earn more money than you will get from studying in the agricultural college. So similarly, in human life, everyone is endeavoring to do something. But Prahlada Maharaj recommends we endeavor in such a manner that we will get the best reward. That is through Bhagavad Dharma or surrendering to Krishna. Now Prahlada Maharaj pointed out that people waste their lives. How much of our lives goes in sleeping? Useless waste of time. Of course, we can't stop sleeping, but excess sleeping means a complete waste of time. So human life is artada. It's meant for giving us the best gift. But so much time is wasted sleeping, eating, bathing, all these bodily maintenance. In childhood, we're absorbed in playing. Then in the middle of life, we're absorbed in working. And at the end of life, we are overcome by various diseases. In this way, our whole life just passes away. Sometimes you have that experience at the end of the day, and it just seems like 2 minutes ago you got up in the morning, the whole day just went phew, just like that. But similarly, our whole life can just go boom, just like that. You come to 70 years old, and you don't have much time left, and what did I do in my life? I had a job, I had a few children, and I watched TV, and what else did I do? I passed, a few tons of stool in my life. What did I do? And now there's no time to do anything. So Prahlada Maharaj says, from the very beginning of life, take up that which is the actual purpose of life, which is Bhagavad Dharma, Krishna Bhakti. Prahlada Maharaj was a schoolboy. His father dutifully arranged the best teachers for him. Their names were Shanda and Amarka. They were the sons of Shukracharya, who is the Daitya Guru. He's anyway. So they're very highly qualified teachers. And the most important subject they wanted to teach Prahlad was politics, because he's the son of a king. Political tactics. Sama Bheda Dana Danda. That you have to manage the state by keeping everyone peaceful. Keep them under control. And if your political enemies, you follow the process of divide and rule. You pit them against each other. And you keep your support, you keep your friends by bribing people. And if that doesn't work, you just crush your opposition. So these are the principles of politics. But Prahlada Maharaj was not interested in this. Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's father, would call Prahlada Maharaj from time to time and affectionately sit him on his lap. And he would ask Prahlad, "My dear boy, what are you learning in school? Are you learning how to exploit the citizens? Are you learning how to crush your enemies? Tell me, what's your favorite subject? What's the best thing you learned?" So actually Prahlad, he had not learned the principles of politics because he was not interested in this. He did not consider Shanda and Amarka as his gurus. His guru was the great eternal devotee, eternally famous Sri Narada Muni. Prahlada Maharaj had learned from Narad when Prahlad was in the womb of his mother. And he always remembered the instructions of Narad. And therefore he found the instructions of how to enjoy this material world of no interest to him whatsoever. So when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, "What is the best thing you have learned?" Prahlad gave an answer that shocked Hiranyakashipu. His answer was, "Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Dandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pungsapita Vishnu Bhaktis Chaindavalakshana." What's the next line? Tanmanya Adhitam Uttamam. He said that hearing about Vishnu, chanting the glories of Vishnu, remembering Vishnu, serving the lotus feet of Vishnu, performing archa, worship of the deity of Vishnu, offering prayers to Vishnu, identifying oneself as the servant of Vishnu, friendship to Vishnu, and full surrender to Vishnu. These are 9 processes of Vishnu Bhakti. I consider to be the best education. So Hiranyakashipu was not happy to hear this. Hiranyakashipu was a totally materialistic person. But Prahlada Maharaj's teachings were fully transcendental. Therefore, the teachings of Prahlad had no interest. They were of no interest to Hiranyakashipu. The teachings of Prahlada Maharaj will appeal to spiritually enlightened persons. There are many persons who are determined not to become on the spiritual platform. As Prahlada Maharaj said, Matya na Krishne paratasvato vamito bhipadyeta grihapratanam adanta gobhir vishatanta misram punah punas charavita charavananam. He said that certain people, they are not attracted to Vishnu, to Krishna. And they will not become attracted because they've made a decision not to become attracted to Krishna. They are against Krishna consciousness. They think Krishna consciousness is very bad because they have decided that their whole life is simply meant for material enjoyment. Then Prahlada Maharaj says, Adanta Gobhir. Their senses are uncontrolled. This is a very important point. One major difference between Prahlada and Hiranyakashipu was that Prahlada, his senses were controlled, whereas those of Hiranyakashipu were not. Now we hear there are different kinds of religious preachers, there are different kinds of Christian preachers from different churches, there are Islamic preachers, and within Hinduism there are many different Swamis. But who is, out of all these religious preachers, who is preaching that we must control our senses? No one preaches like this. Rather they will say, you worship God and God will give you more facilities to enjoy your senses. But real spiritual life begins with control of the senses. Without control of the senses, there is no actual spiritual life. Unless the senses are controlled, we are simply in ignorance. And we will have to be born again and again. We will have to go to hell for indulging our senses. And again we will get born, and again we will try to enjoy ourselves. So Prahlada Maharaj, even though he's a young boy, he's fully self-realized. This pamphlet is being handed out to everyone. The Transcendental Teachings of Prahlada Maharaj. Please read it. It may shock you, because Prahlada speaks very openly and very straightforwardly. But what he speaks is of utmost value to us. Yan maitunadi grihameti sukham hitucham kanduyanena karayo ivadukha dukham tripyanti neha kripana bahudukha bhaja kandutivan vishayam vishaheta. He says that in this material world, the main enjoyment is sex. This is the happiness of people who are interested in family life. Of course, we're not against family life, but family life should be entered into for serving Krishna. Otherwise, Prahlada Maharaj says, it's simply centered, he used the term maitunadi, centered on sex. He gives the example that the sex urge is like an itch. Now it is itchy season, it's hot season, so you feel like scratching. So if you scratch the itching sensation, you feel a little relief. But actually, it gets worse. The itching gets worse by scratching it. So material happiness is like that. We want to enjoy our senses. But if we indulge in sense enjoyment, then we become more in illusion and our desire for material enjoyment simply increases. And by scratching and scratching, pus comes out. But persons who are kripana, who are spoiling their human form of life, they do not understand this. And therefore they act in a way which simply produces more and more distress. Therefore an intelligent person, Prahlada Maharaj says, is dhira. He tolerates. Just like if you have an itch, you want to scratch but you tolerate. No, if I scratch it will get worse. In the same way, the desire to enjoy sense enjoyment, a sober person tolerates it. He does not indulge in sense enjoyment. So this may be a shocking instruction, but it's instruction that we all need to take. The whole propaganda of the material world, especially in the modern society, is enjoy your senses. But Prahlada Maharaj says, stop. Be cool-headed. Think about what you're doing. Don't indulge in activities that will lead to degradation, but act in a way that we can be elevated to the topmost platform of spiritual life. So this is the actual path of auspiciousness. What Prahlada Maharaj spoke many millions of years ago is just as applicable today. We can choose today whether to be a follower of the modern Hiranyakashipus or a follower of the representatives of Prahlada Maharaj. Our spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, was a representative of Prahlada Maharaj. He went in the midst of the demoniac civilization, where meat-eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex are normal. You would not think it would be possible to preach Krishna Bhakti among people addicted to such low-class sinful activities. But just as Prahlada Maharaj preached Krishna Bhakti among the sons of the demons many millions of years ago, Srila Prabhupada went to the Western countries and taught this Bhagavad Dharma. The same principles, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, hearing and chanting about Vishnu. These are the main activities of Bhakti. Hearing means hearing from devotees according to the teachings of Shastra. And Kirtanam means chanting the names of Krishna. This process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu is extremely powerful. It was powerful millions of years ago, and it is powerful even today. What do we mean by powerful? Does it mean that you will get some siddhis like flying in the air? No, you will get something much better than flying in the air. Birds can fly in the air, but they're still in ignorance. The greatest gift is the knowledge by which we can transcend birth and death. Prahlada Maharaj spoke this knowledge millions of years ago. Srila Prabhupada taught this knowledge in recent times, and on the order of Srila Prabhupada, following the same tradition, we are speaking the same thing, and you can take advantage. Everyone can achieve the highest perfection of life simply by hearing and chanting about Krishna, according to the authorized system of Parampara, based on the teachings of genuine gurus, genuine sadhus, and the Shastra. In Kali Yuga, the process is very easy. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nascheva, nascheva, nascheva gatiram yatha. It is not, we're just talking about controlling the senses, but it's not so easy to control the senses. Especially in Kali Yuga, the mind is very disturbed. But Bhagavan has given us an easy process in this Kali Yuga. Chanting the names of Krishna. This is effective. It works. People from all over the world are chanting the names of Krishna and coming to the Transcendental platform. So we invite everyone to take up this process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Now we are going to take some questions, if anyone has any questions. And after that we'll make a presentation about how you can chant Hare Krishna at home every day and follow in the footsteps of Prahlada Maharaj. Does anyone have any question, please? If you have any questions, you can take the wandering mic. Tell me.
Concentration of mind. If we concentrate Krishna or any other Hindu god.
Concentrate the mind on Krishna or any other Hindu god. Yeah.
Same.
Is it the same? You say Krishna or any other Hindu god. Do we find anywhere in Bhagavad Gita, in Puranas, Mahabharata, anywhere that Krishna is called a Hindu god? You won't find the word Hindu anywhere in all of the Shastras. People all over the world are taking to Krishna Bhakti. They're not asking how I can become a Hindu. They are asking what is the highest truth. The answer is Krishna. A Hindu god is not the highest truth. There's no such thing as a Hindu god. You see, here in Tamil Nadu, this Kumar is very popular, Skanda, Subramanyam. But you won't find anywhere in Shastra that Subramanyam is called a Hindu god. So this is the problem. You don't study Shastra. You just have some misconceptions, Hindu god. So you're asking about meditating on Krishna or any other Hindu god, but your so-called meditation won't help you at all unless you're free of these stupid misconceptions. That's why Prahlada Maharaj said, first of all, Shravanam. First of all, you hear and understand. If you don't understand, then what is the value of your activities? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mata parataram nanyat kinchirasti. There is no truth higher than me. He says, Antavattu palam tesham tad bhavat yalpamedasam. Those who worship various devatas, they are foolish because their results of doing so are temporary. So it's not the same. Worshipping Krishna and worshipping various devatas does not give the same result. Just like as a similar example, you may study very hard, but if you study in the medical college, you'll get a different result to studying in the agricultural college. We should first of all know who is supreme. You'll get a better result if you want to bribe someone, then better bribe the chief minister and not the village sarpanch. But actually worship of Krishna is not like bribing. Worship of various demigods, it's just I worship you and you do something for me. It's like bribing a minister. But true worship of Krishna is based on love. Patrang pushpang palang toyam. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, offer me a fruit, a flower, leaf or water. These are not very expensive things or difficult things to procure. But if they're offered with love to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates with love. So on the path of bhakti, we're not interested in getting any material gain from any demigod. We understand scientifically from Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna's supreme position. We respect the demigods as great persons, but our attention is on Krishna. By Krishna Bhakti, we achieve the highest goal of life, which is Bhakti. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. By performing Bhakti, we get Bhakti. That is the ultimate need of the soul. We get a completely different result by worshipping the demigods for material boons. Hiranyakashipu was a worshipper of Lord Brahma. Ravana was a worshipper of Lord Shiva. But they were complete materialists. The spiritual platform begins by worshipping Krishna without any material desire. And anyway, this idea of meditation, who can do any meditation? We cannot do meditation. In Kali Yuga, our minds are too disturbed. And even if we try to do meditation, there'll be sounds of traffic, sounds of TV. There's always some disturbance. So please chant Hare Krishna. That is the recommended process for Kali Yuga. Krite yadhayato vishnum chaitayam yajato makai dvapare paricharyayam kalotad Hare Kirtanat. In Satya Yuga, the Yuga Dharma or the recommended process was meditation. In Treta Yuga, the process was by performing yajna. In Dwarpa Yuga, the process was worship in the temple. And in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is Hari Kirtan. So just chant Hare Krishna. Don't bother with going to this demigod or that demigod, or trying to do some meditation. Just chant Hare Krishna. You will get the highest perfection of life. Yeah, any other question, please? Yeah, just pass them on.
God is one only. Is God one only? And does God have
Yes, God is one. God is Krishna. He has many forms. Vangshi Gopal Krishna. He expands himself as Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma, so many different forms. That doesn't mean that every person is God, but the Vishnu forms, they are Bhagavan. This we understand from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana and all Shastras. One gentleman had a question. Alright, let this man ask. Let this man ask and then afterwards.
He says, in Mahabharata war, Krishna was using so much tantras to defeat the Kauravas that Dronacharya was killed by telling the lie that Ashwatthama, everything was died, and Karna was also killed in a similar way. So to establish Dharma, Krishna used this kind of ways. So is it right?
Yes. If it wasn't right, then Vyasadeva wouldn't have recorded it in Mahabharata. But Dharma is not very easy to understand. Therefore people can become confused. Sometimes people are so foolish and offensive as to accuse Krishna of being immoral. But we find the same Vyasadeva who recorded all these narrations in Mahabharata also records in Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original form of the personality of Godhead. So all the acharyas over all these centuries have worshipped Krishna. Acharyas such as Sri Ramanujacharya, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Shankaracharya also said, Bhaja Govindam. So they never misunderstood. They never misunderstood that Krishna is immoral. It's only the persons of the mentality like Hiranyakashipu and Duryodhana who will accuse Krishna of being immoral. Actually, Krishna, just by his will, he can kill all the Kauravas. And actually that happened by his will. There are various reasons that he adopted various tactics. Just to show that in this world, however much one may try, the condition of this world is such that it is crooked. Arjuna didn't want to fight. He thought it was wrong. Krishna told him to fight. It was the better of two evils.
Better of
two. Yeah. Neither option, Arjuna didn't see either option as good, either fighting or not fighting. But Arjuna thought that to fight against his gurus is very bad. But Krishna told him to fight anyway, because the circumstances demanded. As Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, before the battle began, Savaramba hi doshena. In every endeavor there is some kind of fault. But that doesn't mean that one should therefore not act. So because destroying Duryodhana was essential, therefore Krishna found it necessary to resort to various tactics. In the case of Karna, he got what he deserved. He was saying, you cannot kill me in this circumstance. It is not dharma. And Krishna asked him, then where was your dharma when you insulted Draupadi? Where was your dharma when you banished the Pandavas to the forest? By cheating in the dice game. Where was your dharma when you tried to kill Bhima by a poison cake? Throughout your whole life you have adopted adharma, and now you're pleading dharma. So all these things have to be understood through the explanations of the acharyas. Then? My life is true. After many millions of births of wandering in this material world, in this lifetime at the age of 18, I got the shelter of a great Mahabharat Paramahamsa spiritual master, and my life began. Whatever happened prior to that is just like being dead while apparently living. Any other questions? Alright, so would you like to explain about this? You want to explain about the chanting? Oh, there's another question.
In some Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita itself that Krishna's injunction to Arjuna to fight against his guru and superior are wrong. So what do you say about that?
That's not Bhagavad Gita. Translate. Say that's not Bhagavad Gita. People didn't hear the question. Say that in some Bhagavad Gitas it said that Krishna was wrong to induce Arjuna to fight, but there's only one Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Bhagavan and recorded by Vyasa. Other people, they can comment whatever they like. But if Bhagavad Gita was wrong, then why is it still so much in demand even after so many thousands of years? Such people are stupid. And if you think such people who criticize Krishna, if you give them any regard, you're also stupid. You should therefore we have Bhagavad Gita, Unmai Uravil. This is actual understanding as Krishna gave it. What is the use of taking an explanation of Bhagavad Gita from a rascal who's envious of Krishna? If you hear Bhagavad Gita from a rascal, you won't become purified, you'll just become another rascal. Therefore you should take Bhagavad Gita Unmai Uravil, which is given by a great pure devotee of Krishna. This edition of Bhagavad Gita is making millions of devotees of Krishna all over the world. So you have to decide, you want to be a Prahlada or you want to be a Hiranyakashipu? Whose explanation of Bhagavad Gita do you want to hear? Prahlad's or Hiranyakashipu's? Alright, explain the chanting. You have to explain about the chanting you've been chanting. You don't know this? It's not a regular feature of your program? You're telling me that this is a regular feature of your program? Then where's Krishnadas? Let him come and explain. Or anyone. Anyone can come